'Hide, my dear fellow,' said the Lion warmly. 'Pray command me, if there's any little thing I can do for you at any time.'
'Don't mention it,' said Sep with proper politeness. 'Delighted to have been of use to you, I'm sure.' So they parted. As Sep scrambled through the bushes back to the road he kicked against an axe that lay on the ground. 'Hullo,' said he, 'some poor woodman's dropped this and not been able to find it. I'll take it along. Perhaps I may meet him.' He was getting very tired and very hungry, and presently he sat down to rest under a chestnut tree, and he heard two little voices talking in the branches, voices soft as a squirrel's fur and bright as a squirrel's eyes. They were, indeed, the voices of two squirrels. 'Hush!' said one, 'there's some one below.' 'Oh,' said the other, 'it's a horrid boy. Let's scurry away.' 'I'm not a horrid boy,' said Sep. 'I'm the seventh son of a seventh son.' 'Oh,' said Mrs. Squirrel, 'of course that makes all the difference. Have some nuts?' 'Rather,' said Sep. 'At least, I mean, yes, if you please.' So the squirrels brought nuts down to him, and when he had eaten as many as he wanted they filled his pockets, and then in return he chopped all the lower boughs off the chestnut tree, so that boys who were not seventh sons could not climb up and interfere with the squirrels' housekeeping arrangements. Then they parted the best of friends, and Sep went on. 'I haven't found my fortune yet,' said he, 'but I've made a friend or two.' And just as he was saying that he turned a corner of the road and met an old gentleman in a fur-lined coat riding a fine big grey horse.
'Hullo,' said the gentleman. 'Who are you, and where are you off to so bright and early?'
'I'm Septimus Septimusson,' said Sep, 'and I'm going to seek my fortune.'
'And you've taken an axe to help you carve your way to glory?'
'No,' said Sep, 'I've found it, and I suppose some one lost it, so I'm bringing it along in case I meet him.'
'Heavy, isn't it?' said the old gentleman.
'Yes,' said Sep.
'Then I'll carry it for you,' said the old gentleman, 'for it's one that my head forester lost yesterday. And now come along with me, for you're the boy I've been looking for 7 years, an honest boy and the seventh son of a seventh son.'
So Sep went home with the gentleman, who was a great lord in that country, and he lived in that lord's castle and was taught everything that a gentleman ought to know. And in return he told the lord all about the ways of birds and beasts, for, as he understood their talk, he knew more about them than any one else in that country. And the lord wrote it all down in a book, and half the people said it was wonderfully clever, and the other half said it was nonsense, and how could he know? This was fame, and the lord was very pleased. But though the old lord was so famous, he would not leave his castle, for he had a hump that an enchanter had fastened on to him, and he couldn't bear to be seen with it.
'But you'll get rid of it for me some day, my boy,' he used to say. 'No one but the seventh son of a seventh son and an honest boy can do it, so all the doctors say.'
So Sep grew up, and when he was 21, straight as a lance and handsome as a picture, the old lord said to him:
'My boy, you've been like a son to me, but now it's time you got married and had sons of your own. Is there any girl you'd like to marry?'
'No,' said Sep, 'I never did care much for girls.' The old lord laughed.
'Then you must set out again and seek your fortune once more,' he said. because no man has really found his fortune till he's found the lady who is his heart's lady. Choose the best horse in the stable, and off you go, lad, and my blessing go with you.' So Sep chose a good red horse and set out, and he rode straight to the great city that shone golden across the plain, and when he got there he found every one crying. 'Why, whatever is the matter?' said Sep, reining in the red horse in front of a smithy, where the apprentices were crying on to the fires, and the smith was dropping tears on the anvil.
'Why, the princess is dying,'
said the blacksmith, blowing his nose.
'A nasty, wicked magician, he had a spite against the king, and he got at the princess when she was playing ball in the garden, and now she's blind and deaf and dumb, and she won't eat. And she'll die,' said the first apprentice. 'And she is such a dear,' said the other apprentice.
Sep sat still on the red horse, thinking. 'Has anything been done?' he asked.
'Oh, yes,' said the blacksmith. 'All the doctors have seen her, but they can't do anything. And the king has advertised in the usual way that any one who can cure her may marry her, but it's no good. King's sons aren't what they used to be. A silly lot they are nowadays, all taken up with football and cricket and golf.'
'H'm,' said Sep. 'Thank you. Which is the way to the palace?' The blacksmith pointed, and then burst into tears again. Sep rode on. When he got to the palace he asked to see the king. Every one there was crying too, from the footman who opened the door to the king who was sitting upon his golden throne and looking at his fine collection of butterflies through floods of tears.
'Oh, dear me, yes, young man,'
said the king.
'You may see her and welcome, but it's no good.'
'We can but try,' said Sep. So he was taken to the room where the princess sat, huddled up on her silver throne among the white velvet cushions, with her crown all on one side, crying out of her poor blind eyes, so that the tears ran down over her green gown with the red roses on it. And directly he saw her he knew that she was the only girl, princess as she was, with a crown and a throne, who could ever be his heart's lady. He went up to her and kneeled at her side and took her hand and kissed it. The princess started. She could not see or hear him, but at the touch of his hand and his lips she knew that he was her heart's lord, and she threw her arms round his neck and cried more than ever. He held her in his arms and stroked her hair till she stopped crying, and then he called for bread and milk. This was brought in a silver basin, and he fed her with it as you feed a little child. The news ran through the city, "The princess has eaten!" and all the bells were set ringing. Sep said good night to his princess and went to bed in the best bedroom of the palace. Early in the grey morning he got up and leaned out of the open window and called to his old friend the wind. And the wind came bustling in and clapped him on the back, crying,
"Well, my boy, and what can I do for you, eh?"
Sep told him all about the princess.
"Well," said the wind, "you've not done so badly. At any rate, you've got her love, and you couldn't have got that with anybody's help but your own. Now, of course, the thing to do is to find the wicked magician."
"Of course," said Sep.
"Well, I travel a good deal. I'll keep my eyes open and let you know if I hear anything."
Sep spent the day holding the Princess